Hello everybody, what is going on? My name is Freedom. Welcome back to another video here on my channel. Today I want to talk about Logan Paul's new upload and what it means for his channel, what it means for YouTube, and what it may possibly mean for somebody like me and you. So, as you guys know, Logan Paul hasn't really been uploading in the past like 3 weeks, I think, or the past month at least. And what he's been doing during this time is he's been taking like time out to go visit different individual people and talk through like their suicide attempts and what it felt like to go through suicide, and he's really beginning to try to understand what it's like for someone to go through this process. Now, I think about suicide myself once every week at least, so it's kind of crazy to see, um, and I feel that I'm a little bit more at ease to talk about it now, having watched his video, than what I was before his video, because before his video it were all just like blowing out of proportion, and nobody really knew what was going on with Logan, nobody really knew what was going on in general, and to see this video now has opened my eyes to a different side to Logan. I suppose the big question is, can we forgive and forget? And I say, yeah, I think it's time that we forgive and forget what Logan did, because we know it was bad, but we have to move on from it at some point. We can't just stay fixated on the bad points of somebody. He has so many good points about himself, and I think it's bad just to fixate on the bad points, and I think it's time that we move past what he did. So he's been taking time out to go and talk to people that have, gone through suicide. The guy that jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge that survived. He's really, really like opened my eyes to things that he could achieve, because he came from Ohio, right? And in Ohio, like, suicide is the second biggest thing, the second biggest cause of death in the whole of Ohio. So for him to have grown up and not know anybody to go through like suicide, it's crazy, to think about. Like, he lives in such a big place, and for all that just to go past him every single day of his life is absolutely crazy. To not actually know anybody that's suicided is crazy. I know somebody that suicided myself. I know one of my ex-girlfriends. She suicided. She took her own life. She didn't feel like she was. It's not that she didn't feel like she was anything. It's just that like she was in a really bad situation. And the boyfriend that she had, like, at the time, she was all for him, and it seemed that everybody wanted them to break up and nobody really wanted them to be together, and they committed suicide by filling themselves with alcohol and drugs, and they jumped from a multi-story flat building, so like she hit the floor with, like, on top of him, so they sort of like they went down together, and she landed on top of him. Now, when she landed on the top of him, when the paramedics and stuff arrived, she still had a faint heartbeat, but it was such a shock to me, such a shock to my system, because it came from like a source that I never expected it to come from, and he just popped up one day. Or I think I saw him on a bus, and he was like, oh, blah de blah, well, she committed suicide, and he was just very, very blunt about it, and I just was like, well, there's no need to really sort of like speak of it in that sort of way, but yeah. So I know someone that committed suicide, someone that I went out with, someone that I was in a relationship with for 2 years, and it really is a hard thing to sort of try and deal with. It's a hard thing to cope with, especially if you feel like it yourself. And the reason why I felt like it is because, like, I've been through some really hard times in my life, in my past and stuff, with like my ex-girlfriend and my baby, and there's all sorts of like other reasons, and it's very easy to just like think to yourself, hey, I could just jump in front of a train, or I could just do this and that'd be the end of all my pain. And it's very, very, like, it's an emotional thing to talk about. It's a very sore subject for a lot of people, and I feel like it's the way that Logan Paul is doing it is very good, because he seems to be like using his YouTube power and his fame for something good. So if he can raise awareness about it and get people to talk about, surviving it, then it's going to be a hell of a lot more beneficial for everyone, because it means that, like, everyone will start opening up and talking more about it, and then obviously as a result of that, less and less suicides will happen. It's just, why did it have to be now? Why couldn't he have like done this before? But it's because he didn't understand suicide. He didn't understand it. He didn't know anything really about what it was. He just knew that people would take their own lives. He didn't really think too much into why they'd do it or anything like that. So these past few weeks, he's been trying to understand it more by speaking to people directly, and I think that's very brave of Logan. To finally step up and be like, okay, look, I know I did wrong, but I want to do the best that I can for those people. And as far as I'm aware, I don't know how true this is. I've only been told, but he's meant to be donating $1 million to, like, suicide prevention, so that obviously, like, it helps to prevent people from wanting to go and commit suicide or committing suicide, actually going through with it. And I think it's very true what that guy says that jumps off the Golden Gate Bridge. I feel like he's very true in what he's saying, is that right there in that moment you're so upset and everything just feels on top of you, but you see, when that voice in his head told him to jump and he jumped, immediately that regret kicked in. Well, the only reason why I never went through, or I haven't gone through yet with this, suicide, is because I always, like, stopped myself through thinking about what my daughter would think of me if I was to do that. And so that regret hit me before I did it or I do it. It hits me before, so the regret is there before I actually go through with it, which stops me from going through with it. And it's been the last year has been easier. It's got easier for me to deal with, but like the years before then, it's been very hard. And I was obviously claiming, like, state benefits here in the UK for depression, and I've just been to an assessment, and they sort of like cleared me for everything. This is that I was fit for work, but I'm still mentally unstable, really. It's not something that you can just go, okay, you're better now. You can't just do that. It's not something you can just switch off like that. It's a very hard thing to deal with, but I don't think that many people can understand the severity of it, or they don't seem to understand the severity of it. And I've now got to, like, try and ask for the claim that I had to be reconsidered, because I feel that I deserve to be on that benefit, because, like, I'm not mentally fit to go out and get a job. They think it's so much easier than what it is, and they think it's more of a physical thing than a mental thing, because in the letter and stuff they were saying that because I'm able to reach up and because I'm able to bend and because there's nothing that physically stops me from being able to work, that I'm okay to work. But they don't think about the mental side of it, and, like, it's all very mental. It's all up here where it all happens and everything kind of goes on. But I just hope that when I go for the reconsideration thing, that they reconsider everything and they sort of, like, see it from where I'm seeing it from, and not try and, like, just rule it out anyway. I don't want them to be like, oh, well, you still fit for work because you're physically fit. I've got to try and push that it's not something that's physical, it's something that's mental that prevents me. and trying to get people to understand that don't understand is really tough. It's really tough. You know, you sometimes you don't want to tell people because you're scared of like how people will react or what people will think of you, and that's sort of like the biggest thing about sort of speaking about it is you're not sure on what sort of reaction you're gonna get, and that's kind of what's very hard about it. But all I can say is that if there is anybody out there that does ever think about suicide, you have to remember that there is more to life. Like there is more to life. What would people that love you think if you were to do it? You've got to think about it. Like you've got to think about everyone that you know. And if you're one of those people that know someone that's going through it, make sure that you ask them constantly if they're alright. Make sure you check in on them whenever you can. So just giving them a call every day, just saying, hey, how you doing? How's life? I hope you're alright. And just giving those people that peace of mind to know that somebody is there and that somebody cares about them, because the struggle is real. You can take it from me that who's had a first hand in suicide. I don't really want to speak about it, but you can sort of like begin to understand when you start to think about it, and it's just trying to get people to think about it and trying to get people to talk about it and trying to encourage people to help those that are going through it, because a problem shared is a problem halved. So if you can get someone to share their problem, it becomes less of a burden on that person. So again, I don't feel like we should hold anything against Logan, as I feel that everything that he's doing now kind of rectifies what he did, although what he did was still bad. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that will learn to forgive, but not a lot of people will learn to forget. But you can find also over time that people just begin to forget naturally over time, because they see someone doing so much good stuff that they forget about the bad stuff. That's kind of what you've got to do. But the bad stuff will always remain. People will always remember that, because people seem to remember bad things easier than remembering something good. So yeah, I just want to say that I don't think we should hold anything against Logan. I think that he's learnt from his mistake, and I think that we can look forward to seeing what videos he comes out with in the future, and just seeing how he really takes to the whole, suicide thing, and seeing how he improves himself as a human being and how much he tries to help others as a human being. And with that being said, guys, this is where I'm going to end the video. So yeah, like I say, we should forgive Logan for what he's done, because everybody makes mistakes, and as long as we learn from those mistakes, that is the true meaning to a mistake, is you've got to learn from it, and I feel that he has definitely learned from it. So with that being said, guys, I feel like this is where I'm going to end the video, because I don't really have anything else to talk about to do with Logan or to do with suicides. So if you did enjoy today's video, please be sure to drop it a like, and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and turn on those notifications. That's all I ever ask. And I hope you have a good night, a good day wherever you are in the world, and remember to think it, be it, own it. Freedom. Peace, squad fam.